Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and today I want to do milestone 3 of our Conquest First Blood Paint Along League. I am very behind on this, but I wanted to get the video out anyway because the holidays are coming up and it's not going to get any less crazy. So, if you're new to this, essentially we started playing Conquest First Blood here locally. It's the skirmish version of Bellum's game Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings, and I'm having an absolute blast with it. I love the game system so much. In Milestone 1, we went from 0 to 400 points painted. From Milestone 2, we went from 400 to 800, which is your first full list. And then our Milestone 3 was kind of a loosey-goosey one if you wanted to join on, and that was just painting up other things to give you options. A lot of times, these are multi-kits, so you might have an extra dude here and there, and it allows you to have a little bit of list variety. Due to travel and going to seeing family and stuff, I unfortunately just didn't have enough time. I'm sitting down to paint stuff now, but I wanted to get this video out before I got lost in the holidays. So what I'm going to do is show off all of the awesome painting things that my community has done, specifically over on Discord. There's some wonderfully painted minis we've been following along this whole time. And then I want to have a discussion about a list that I am taking to a Last Argument of Kings, the full version rank and flank, to an event on the 10th, as well as what my plans are going forward for my lleague home. I did 100 Kingdoms mostly for the First Blood event, but lleague home are my main big army. So I say we start where it's important, and that is the community. Over on the 2 Plus Stuff Discord, which you can get to from the links down below, we have Aaron, has been a regular contributor to this. Thank you so much, Aaron, for being way better about painting than even me. So alrighty, here's my new and final Milestone 3 with family photos. They're a bit rushed and I'm super behind on my AOS event prep, but I managed to get a few, very inefficient, 2,000 points Last Argument of Kings list, which is kind of neat. So she actually pushed herself way far to get a full list for the main game rather than sticking with First Blood necessarily, which is cool. I mean, that's the idea, right? We're building upwards and outward. He do be fallen though. I love the list name. We have an Archimandrite Acares, which is a sort of their base infantry light skirmisher dudes. Bone Golems, my favorite models of that army. The Moroi, another version of light infantry. Praetorian Guard, definitely more of the heavy set kind of thing. Legionaries are your baseline medium. Anything that's a Moroi or a Acares is kind of weaker than that in terms of physical dexterity, and then Praetorians are higher. So you have those, that's fantastic. Keeping them all at minimum size, I see. I dig it. Now down below for your second warband, we have the Strategos, which is a great model when it comes to his abilities within the context of the game. Cannot argue enough. He has 2 units of Legionaries with him, and 2 units of Cataphractoi, which are the mounted cavalry. And you've actually reinforced these 2, which is wonderful. So let's take a look at this family photo here. Here we have a huge photo. We'll just go through this one, I think. First, we have our Archimandrite and the Praetorian Guard acting as his personal entourage up here. I like it quite a bit. The shields look fantastic. I mean, you did a great job on all of the, what's the word? Patina? Is that what it is? When it comes to the copper and I don't know. You did wonderful weathering. Here we have our four of our Cataphractoi in the back. If you have not seen these models in person, they are huge and they are beautiful. Like, they are truly, truly beautiful. If you're not familiar, Conquest operates at a different scale than 40k or AOS or most other miniature games. So these boys are chonky. This is a big, big army. Here we have our, I always get the Moroi and the other ones all confused. But there's your light infantry options on either side. We have another thing of, oh, I'm sorry, no, this must have been Legionnaires and Praetorians with Boss Man, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting my dudes confused because this angle I'm not quite sure which is which. But we have a whole bunch of, basically Praetorian Guard, a whole bunch of the basic infantry with shields, and then our other light skirmisher back here, with 4 more of the Cataphractoi and the Bone Golems in the center. Now, I really dig the Bone Golems. Not so much because they're the killiest thing, which they're not. I mean, they're basically, I don't know, funeral, graveyard, dreadnoughts. But they make for a very interesting anchor point in this army. A lot of this stuff, if you don't know about the Old Dominion, it wants to die. Because the more stuff of yours that dies, or the more stands that are taken away, rather, you get increased abilities. It's almost like you're unleashing death magic, and then your heroes, who are super adept at using death magic, can then distribute it to the army. That's not necessarily mechanically, but thematically. So I think that they make a great anchor point. You have the Bone Golems go up the center to take the brunt of whatever hits they can get a hold of. The Cataphractoi coming on each side is terrifying because they make for wonderful flanking forces, and the light skirmisher units can reinforce them really well. Like, just even if you just have these guys go up on the right flank and these boys go right behind them, same thing on the left over here, bone golems up the center, and then you can really divide how you want your infantry stance, meaning the Praetorian Guard and the legionaries, all kinds of stuff, to figure out where they want to go. Essentially, if we're going with this picture, which is, it's a great picture, by the way, it's massive file size, deploy them pretty much exactly as you have them planned out here, and then just have these guys go to the left, these guys go to the right, bone golems to the center, and depending on the spells and stuff you put for your heroes, it might make more sense to have switch the center and left ones here, just for range of effects and being able to project threat onto all of these. But realistically, this is a fantastic army, and you have outdone yourself, Aaron. Kudos to you. Now, for our next community member we want to focus on is Expectair. He's also been contributing, I believe it's he, please forgive me if I'm mistaken, been contributing regularly and has some fantastic models. This is a Nord army with a wonderful and beautiful Celtic and green theme, which is what I was going for. And they're absolutely astounding. If you've not seen the Nord models, they just have great proportions for mankind, and just a cool fantasy Viking look. I like them a lot. Here are some wonderful heroes and notable characters. You have Banner Bearer. This is their leader guy, the Joel, or it is Jarl. That's what it is, not Jorl. But they're Jarl, and then you have a few different, these are sort of the command options that go along with him. These are all the different, I guess, retinue that he can take along with him. Here we have a unit of Huskarls, which are sort of the elite heavy infantry. Think of these as Chaos Warriors as opposed to Raiders being Marauders. So they're kind of tanky, kind of heavy. A great place to put heroes in because they just won't let him die very easily. Then we have Raiders. These are your super light warriors, again, like Marauders. They have this wonderful ability, and I'll zoom in here, where as they're charging in, they actually have a pseudo ranged attack, but it's not really a ranged attack. It is essentially they run in, and the idea is they're throwing axes as they're charging you. And so you get rules for that. It basically ends up being like impact damage, to put it more simply. But the way that the mechanics work, it's to reenact the fact that axes are being chucked at point blank range as they're charging in with more axes. And I love it. These guys look great. You did a terrific job on the basing. Wonderful way to break it up just by adding some elevation. That is always the bane of my existence, but you have nailed it. Here's kind of the full unit all together. As you can see, they are rambunctious. Now, are these, I believe these are different units. So you have quite a few. You took pictures separately rather than one big army shot. So that's fine. That's cool. This is fantastic. These are wonderful picks. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Next, we have the Urgers, UG. Is it UGRS? Is that really what it's spelled as? I see it up here in the file name, but I'm just double checking. Yep, UGR, Urger. These are essentially the ogres that work for them. They are malformed creations of nature and aliens playing God with man. They're all kinds of crazy stuff. These look absolutely terrific. I don't know a single thing about this unit on the battlefield, but you nailed the blue skin, which also I'm assuming if you ever get around to trolls will have a similar blue skin. The helmets, the jingle jangles all over them, like these little metal plates, they look terrific. You did a wonderful job. I'm really impressed by the eyes. Like, as much as I love this mask, and normally I like masked things, if there's an option for a masked helmet or something like that, I'll definitely always go with that, but you crushed it on these eyeballs and the beard hair. I'm gonna need you to teach me how you did the eyeballs, because I don't, it's always been a sore spot for me. And then we just have some close-ups here at the end. A really good close-up of, these are the Raiders. So again, they're running forward, chucking axes with one hand, stabbing you in the face with the other. I'm curious if this is gamer grass, because I love the little flowers you got there. And another close-up of our leader guy. I can't recall, I think he's an attachment, like an officer you can add. I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I love it. Eye patches and axes? Yes, please. So huge thank you to Aaron and Expectair for all your contributions. I know that there were some people who were posting stuff up on Twitter. Unfortunately, Twitter is a dumpster fire right now, and I'm pretty much moving off of it, and I apologize. I am going to be doing a whole bunch more of these kind of paint-along things, specifically for Conquest in 2023. So if you would like to partake in those, I'm going to be doing raffles in 2023, a whole bunch of stuff. Please head over to my Discord and jump on there. Specifically Specifically, I want to throw out one thing really quickly about Bellum, and that is that they are having all kinds of crazy deals right now on their web store. In fact, if you go to their web store, you can actually see this banner up here at the top, which is quite intriguing. If you buy a faction taster, you get a free campaign book. If you have not seen their campaign book, it comes with all kinds of rules for a slow grow league, almost like Path to Glory in AOS, where you start with a 1,000 point army in Last Argument of Kings, and then over time you grow that to a full 2,000 point, and people can gain honors and take wounds and have all kinds of cool things. Well, I'm going to be doing one of those in 2023 because as much as I wanted to do AOS Path to Glory, I have very few AOS players near me, and there's way more Conquest folks nearby. So if you would like to join me, the reason I brought that page up is you get one of those books for free if you wanted to jump in. Grab yourself a few extra models to reinforce a stand here or there, and you have everything you need to join along with me next year. In addition to that, which is a very poorly advertised because this thing rotates around so much, they also have a Brute bundle going on this week where basically if you buy one set of infantry, they'll throw in a Brute unit from that army, and they're kind of all over the place. This is sort of like a just to get yourself a little extra if you have some extra coin. But for example, the Wadroon one is a killer deal specifically where if you get the baby raptors, who are amazing, they're amazing in this game, you get the, what are they called? Warbred. I don't know why I couldn't think of their name. Yes, but there's all kinds of those deals where if you buy a basic unit, you get a free Brute. It's pretty cool. In addition, there's some hero holiday bundles where for 60 bucks, you get 3 really cool sculpts of heroes. That one's, your mileage is going to vary depending on if you need them or not. Like for me, for example, I have like 3 copies of the Steel Shaper. I don't really need any more Karawas, but it doesn't make sense to buy it just for the Herald of Stone. So your mileage will vary. But as mentioned, I'm going to an event on the 10th. So putting aside the campaign stuff for next year, let's focus on my list for what's coming up in Conquest for Doug. So here is my list in all of its glory. Now, again, this is based specifically on what I own right now. However, I am going to pivot now that the Initiates kit is out and really emphasize those, probably get rid of my Hold Warriors because I painted them terribly and I want to redo stuff. But this is what we're working with at the moment. So we have an Ardent Karawa, and he's going to have the spell Resolve, so he basically takes away a broken marker. He also has the Flaming Oratory Mastery, meaning whatever regiment he's a part of gains the Bastion draw event. Bastion is +1 to your defense. So when you stack that, you put him in a unit with Initiates, their defense is 3, it goes up to 4, and then they also have Shield, which means that they are functionally 5, which in Conquest, it works a little differently, but they are exceptionally tanky. Now I take the Initiates because they are a mandatory choice to be able to get the Flame Berserkers, who are a light infantry option. They get Flurry, so they can reroll all hit rolls, and basically the idea is their job is just to exist, turn 1, get on the table if they can, and run like mad up the board. Pick an objective that I want to claim, their job is to clear anything else off of it. Chaff versus Chaff unit. We go down to my second warband, and keep in mind, you can have as many warbands in your army as you'd like. Second warband is where things get a little complicated. We have the Tempered Sorcerer riding the Hellbringer Drake, which is a model that I freaking love. Absolutely devastating in close firing range. So he can do this overcharge thing where basically the Hellbringer Drake is like hawking up a loogie of lava, and then when you spend all of those things, it gets him extra attacks and armor penetration and all these kinds of things. So he's a super nasty one. The Fire Forge are going to function as mid-ranged fire support. Hold Warriors are there just to allow me to bring Automata, which are basically the Tempered Sorcerer's version of Berserkers. Light, they just rump the board and kill stuff, but they are brutes. There's a lot of rules that go along with them that make them pretty gross. As for the Mage, he's got Flame Wall and Fireball. I like that quite a bit. He's super nasty. And lastly, we have the Hold Rake. I actually have the new model where he's like lunging at a charge, and I adore that pose so much more than the old one. His group is going to consist of Hold Thanes and Dragon Slayers. He is bringing the melee punch. Everything else here is about rushing up forward and offering fire support and or anchors for my characters. Hold Warriors can act as a buffer. Tempered Sorcerer, he doesn't care. He's riding a Helldrake. He's not getting any guards, but Karawa is going to be, deeply hidden in a bunker of Initiates. The Hold Ray is meant to go out there and challenge anyone and everyone to a battle. He is going to be inside the Hold Thanes unit because thematically I like that he would travel with his entourage. The Dragon Slayers do not need a hero. They are each of them a blender unto themselves. I fully intend to take both of these guys, one on each side of the field, rush up, and the Dragon Slayers, if you're not familiar with Dweghome, one of their universal rules is they can challenge characters as if they were characters, which doesn't mean much against, Hold Warriors. It means a great deal against a Dragon Slayer. And I also gave him the artifact Dragbrod, which gives him the Cleave 3 special rule. So this is just this whole third warband represents 2 missiles just looking for a fight. Now, the way that I'm going to be changing this list in 2023, and really why I want to have the slow grow league, is because what I've discovered is I really like one specific kit that they are putting out, and that is the Initiates and called the Wardens. Yes, the Warden. I like both of these options. They are both basic troops for the Karawa, which allows me to take more Flame Berserkers or Stone Sentinels whenever those come out. I am very anxious to see. But the Wardens are fantastic. Clash 3, Fearless, Flurry, so they're re-rolling hits. They can just be really gross as far as a mid-tier infantry option, but I love the Karawa, and I love the Initiates, and I love the Wardens, and I love the Flame Berserkers. In fact, this guy's roster, the Karawa, is the roster that I love all the units in. So I like that quite a bit. When we go down the Tempered Sorcerer, the real thing is I want to bring him in the Helldrake. Maybe some Fireforged. I could pass on the Automata and the Hold Warriors, to be honest, but they're filler right now. So I'll drop those, replace them with Wardens, and then I actually adore the idea of just taking a Hold Ray and a bunch of Thanes, just marching as fast as possible up to go challenge everybody. So this is what I'm going to be working with in the future. Like I said, I'm going to be adding more Initiates and Wardens, probably going for a fewer units that are larger. So, more 4 or 5 things of Initiates, maybe a 4 or 5 thing of Wardens, just because they have more standing power on the table. One of the things I've noticed is that if you just take the minimum squads of things, some regiments, like say Fireforged, because all they do is shoot and they don't really want to be engaged and their range is somewhat low, they're great in units of 3. They're also highly defensible. But others, like say Hold Warriors, the minute they start accruing casualties, their ability to do their job, which is truly just to exist and protect others, it starts to falter very quickly. It all falls apart the second they start losing dudes. But yeah, with that, I have 2,000 points of Dweghome, and I will be reporting on how it went right after that event. So yeah, friends, that's it for the milestone 3 of the Conquest Paint Along. Thank you so much to everyone who has chipped in or jumped on board since seeing this. The response has been overwhelming when it comes to the Parabellum website. I'm so thankful for all of you. In 2023, like I said, we're going to be doing the Campaigns and Chronicles, or maybe it's Chronicles and Campaigns, the expansion book. It comes with a ton of lore, a ton of historical campaign information, a whole campaign system to be able to play it with your friends, as well as not just the campaign system, but then in addition to that, a slow grow league where you build a roster of troops and you start training. Really neat stuff. I liked reading through it quite a bit, and I still am. So if you'd like to join me for that, please consider using the affiliate link down below to be able to get 10% off whatever your purchases are. And we'll be ready to go probably the end of January. I'm going to give myself January to recover from the holidays. At the end of January is when I'm going to launch that series. So please, I'd invite you to join along with. Thank you all so much for watching and hanging out, and I'll catch you in my next Conquest video. Happy wargaming.